So this is an ambient kind of guitar effect, which would be really cool for something like shoegaze, maybe some post-rock stuff. And to get to this effect, I will break it down in some parts. So this is basically kind of a chorus effect, but not really a chorus effect, because it works a little bit different, but it works off the same principle as a chorus effect, with using delay and pitch offset to cause that movement in the sound which we associate to a chorus effect. So to get here, I am using a box standard Ibanez guitar, which is plugged straight into my audio interface. So there's not a whole lot of gain. One could say there's very little gain, but that's not a problem, because the way we use silo, it will actually generate quite a bit of gain. So that will be fine, but you can use your own amplifier if you want to. That's totally a possibility as well. So the first thing we need to do is we need to activate silo, obviously. And we are going to disable reverb and spatializer. We will use those later. And the first thing we want to do is make sure we have a sound which actually fills the entire space, because right now we only get little pulses, which is no good. So I am going to change the window to 2K, which is my favorite window, because it's the most smooth up and down. And we need to have fairly short grains, because we don't want it to ring out much longer if we do decide to mute it. And we need to have at least enough grains to fill out the entire sound. So we would need at least 10 grains per second to fill out a full second. But because we also have these little ups and downs, we actually need a little bit more than 10. And I'm going to aim for 30-ish. Should be a pretty solid start. So let's see where we are at here. And as said, this will add quite a bit of extra volume, because now we have overlapping grains playing at the same time. So that does add a lot of extra volume, even though the guitar signal is rather low. So that's our first component. So now we have a pretty good signal. I'm just going to round everything off because OCD and stuff. So let's put this at 30. Let's keep this as what? Oh, that's no good. I guess 103. So the first thing we do is we add pitch deviation, and this will cause every grain to have a slightly different pitch, and that's one of the important ingredients for chorus, is that there is a deviation in pitch. Now we don't want to go too wild, but somewhere around here is probably alright. Oh yes, I'm no guitar player, so power chords is exactly my level of skill. And maybe we can put a little bit. So if we put this too high, it turns into a marbled mess. That's a little bit too much as well, because we're also going to add a little bit of extra stereo effect, so that will widen it up as well. I think that's a good start, so let's keep it at 31 for now. And we are going to add some spread to add a little bit more detune between the individual grains. That is getting pretty wide. Alright, that's good. So now for the next step we are going to use the spatializer, and for this example we will be going into ping pong with a little bit of range. Now I don't want every grain to be in a different channel, because that's going to be annoying with 30 channel changes per second. So we need something which changes channel only once every so often, and this is actually pretty decent. There's a few more which have kind of the same structure, but this is a good option. Give it a little bit of range. Now we're getting really wide. We might want to tone this down a little bit because we're also going to add reverb, which will even further move things out. Let's do a little bit more deviation. Very nice. And from here on out we can add the reverb. We will just use our normal reverb. Add a little bit more distance to keep it from becoming too boxy. You can really do whatever you like. I quite like Nebula. Bokeh works very well, and really whatever your taste is. Let's go for Nebula. If you want to be all technical about it, it would be smart to use a high-pass filter to cut off the lowest of low end to keep things from getting messy. And that's already pretty good. Now to add even more to the sustained nature of the sound, we can introduce some freeze. Which will make sustaining chords even easier, which is pretty neat. And from here on out you can actually just experiment with whatever you want. I would say at least lock these parameters to keep things fairly controlled. Probably want to keep the shape where it is, and from there on you can just mess around with things. Just for an indication, let's do a different shape. Let's do a very aggressive shape. I think this was quite interesting. Becomes very clicky. So that's one simple way to make some chorus, reverb, ambient kind of sound in Silo, and I'll leave you with some variations of these settings in the outro. So I hope you enjoyed this video and have a great day.